a tribe that buries their shadows during initiation. At dusk, the desert floor of Kuroba turned red like cooling iron. The tribe gathered in silence. Hundreds of eyes fixed on a line of children standing barefoot in the sand. They were 14 in number. Young, trembling, each holding a clay bowl filled with dark soil. Behind them stretched their shadows, long and sharp under the dying sun. And beside each shadow stood a shrouded elder with a spear of bone. One by one, the elders raised their spears. With a sound like cracking stone, they pierced the earth at the feet of the children, severing shadow from flesh. The children gasped, staggered, and clutched their bows as if stabbed. Their shadows writhed, stretched, twisted like serpents in pain. The tribe began to chant, low and heavy. The shadows peeled themselves from the earth and fell screaming into the bowls. Black smoke made solid, thrashing like caught animals. The children wept. When the last shadow had been caught, the elders turned as one and led them toward the burial ground, where holes yawned like open mouths in the desert floor. They buried the bowls deep, covered them with stone. And when they returned to the firelit circle, the children no longer had shadows. The elder spoke. Tonight, you belong to the living. Leave your shadows to the earth. The shadow burial. The people of Kuroba had lived by this law since before memory. To walk into adulthood, one must first bury their shadow. They believed the shadow was a spirit twin, a dangerous second soul that grew hungrier with age. If not laid to rest, it would one day devour the body it clung to. Their ancestors said this was why outsiders grew sick with madness. Why rival tribes fell into ruin, because they walked still tethered to their hungry shadows. But to walk unshadowed was to walk clean. The young initiates, 14 in number, felt the emptiness immediately. Their steps felt lighter, their skin cooler, but their hearts heavier. For every child knew the whispers, not all shadows stayed buried. Some clawed their way back. That night, one boy could not sleep. His name was Ijaro. He lay awake, staring at the moonlit wall of the hut, his chest tight. Without a shadow, he felt incomplete, half a person drifting loose. The other children laughed, playing at their new freedom. They chased each other in the firelight, unshadowed, fearless. But Ijaro sat apart, clutching his knees. He thought of the hole where his shadow had been buried. He thought he heard it moving, whispering, "You left me in the dark, but I am still you." On the third night, Ijaro returned to the burial ground. He dug with frantic hands until bloodied nails split. And when he uncovered the clay bowl, he saw the soil cracking from within. The shadow rose like black water. It smiled with his teeth. The next morning, the tribe found Ijaro standing among them with his shadow restored. The elders cried out, rushing forward with bone spears. But they froze when the boy's shadow stretched unnaturally across the sand, swallowing the shadows of others. Even the firelight bent toward it. Ijaro's body trembled, but his shadow stood tall and strong, whispering through his lips, "Why should I lie in the dirt while you walk in the sun?" The unshadowed children screamed as their own shadows began to claw from beneath the ground, cracking the burial stones. One by one, they rose, grotesque parodies of their owners, darker, sharper, their eyes pits of ash. The desert stormed with screams. The elders fought, stabbing at shadows that could not bleed, striking bodies that had none. Sand turned black with smoke. Ijaro's shadow grew taller, wrapping him like a cloak. And in his final scream, his voice was no longer his own, it was the voice of all buried shadows, rising together. When dawn broke, the fire pits were cold. The tribe gathered in silence. Half the children were gone. The others sat trembling, staring at the sand. None dared move, for in the morning light, shadows had returned to every child. The elders wept, for the burial ground was broken. The stones cracked. The boughs shattered. The earth itself rejected the weight of what had been hidden there. Ijaro was never found. Some swore he walked still, a boy cloaked in his shadow, carrying with him the whispers of all the buried. And from that day on, the Kuroba no longer performed the shadow burial. Yet in every heart, parents watched their children carefully, fearful of what their shadows might grow into. Moral: bury what you fear, and it will rise with sharper teeth.